What is going on, you guys? Today I have another quick episode for you. This one is from the First Things Thirst podcast. We're only going to do a section of it here. This is from Jordan Welch, his guest here that he's interviewing. And so Mike Thurston is asking him his advice that he would give to young men. And Jordan Welch has done really well for himself, obviously, with drop shipping and then multiple other ways. His YouTube channel is huge, and he's basically like retired and been working on some other things, so definitely going to be an interesting section to go over here. Let's hop in.
If you had to go back to being 18, with everything that you know now, what would you do? But you don't have a following. Nobody knows who you are. You just have all the skills which you've acquired over the past few years.
If I was 18 and I had no skills and I had no plan on how to make money, the first thing I would do is find somebody who I respect, whether that be Mike or Iman or Jordan, and see exactly what worked for them to get them to their first dollars. I wouldn't look at what they're doing today. I would look at what they did to get their first dollars, and I would study that blueprint as heavily as possible. You don't have to come up with something revolutionary to make money online. In fact, you could just...
That's a good point. So not modeling what they're doing now, because they're like miles ahead now, right? But modeling what they did in the beginning that got them started. And you might have to make some tweaks, right? Because maybe the environment has changed. Like drop shipping, there's probably some fundamentals that are the same, but maybe some things that have changed, right? So you might want to learn what's changed and also be able to model based off of what worked for them in the beginning, right? So kind of combining those two forces there.
Follow in the footsteps of somebody else that already did it. The mistake that so many people make at 18 is that they try to follow you and follow me and follow everybody else. So their brain is constantly like, maybe I should be a fitness coach, or maybe I should do agency, or maybe I should do...
Yeah, and that's called shiny object syndrome. If you haven't heard of it, basically it's like, oh, maybe I should do sales. Maybe I should do Amazon FBA, drop shipping, this and that, TikTok shop, right? Like it's like, find one that you're passionate about, that you actually resonate with, that you enjoy doing. Maybe it helps people, whatever, something that brings that level of fulfillment to you. And basically, I know it's cheesy, right? But like locking into that one, right? Continuing, moving into that one, rather than getting distracted by all these other ones, right? Like, because the shiny object will keep pulling you in different directions until you focus.
Dropshipping, so you don't know what to do. I say you pick one path. I say you find somebody that you really respect inside of that path. You study their blueprint, and you give yourself a time horizon of a year of working on that thing every single day until you start to see some results. If you do this and you actually put in the work, there's no way that you could fail. There's literally no way that you could fail. The mistake that people make is that they jump from thing to thing too quickly, and they don't give themselves a long enough time horizon to let that one thing work. It took me...
Or they don't put in the 30 minutes or however long they can every day. Because, right, like you make time for what's important to you, right? So the thing, when people say like, oh, I don't have time. Well, usually you can look at their phone time and their Netflix time and their video game time and figure out how much time they're using on those things and not building this skill set. So literally like, it's like a kid taking piano or violin lessons, right? It's like 30 minutes a day. 30 minutes, just a few minutes a day. Like you're going to make much more massive progress if you keep doing that rather than distracting yourself with social media and all these other things, right? Because there's a clear difference. Like there's going to be the you who didn't do it and the you that did, right? It's about as clear as it gets.
10 years to hit 1 million subscribers on YouTube. It took me 6 months until I made my first $100,000 in profit with e-commerce. And then it also took me another 3 years after that to make my first real $1 million in sales. So, it's a longer time horizon that people need to have when it comes to actually making money on the internet. You know what I mean?
And that's what I say, you just have to be yourself, you have to be authentic. If you're trying to be somebody else or try and copy someone else's style, people can see through that.
That's so real, bro. I think that's another thing. It's like the clones. I think it's not bad to clone somebody, but make sure they're the person that you really want to be, because when you get there, you're going to...
Well, and something, just a side note to that, that's what artists do, right? Like painters, musicians, things like that. They study, right? They look at, they copy, or they listen to, and they emulate. They're talking about modeling, right? They were talking about modeling before this, right? So the thing that happens, right, is you can hear when an artist is copying someone, like a musician, for example, and then you can hear when it's a little bit different. Like, of course, like there's some similarities with other styles and everything, right? Some other artists maybe. But it's like a cocktail. styles that are infused into one. You stir it all together, right? You've got this artist, that artist, that artist, and you become this different thing, right? This different and slightly new thing. And sometimes I've heard other YouTubers mention this before, and it's not just a YouTube thing, it's for artists or other things. Just like make the podcast that you always wish that you could hear, you wanted to hear, that you feel like no one's talking about enough. Make the kind of YouTube content that you always wanted to watch, right? Or make the kind of music that you always wanted to listen to, like the combination of some different elements, like or you know, whatever you want to do, like combine these different elements and you become effectively, you know, something slightly different, a little bit new, even if you share some elements with other businesses or other people.
Be like, damn, well, who did I become? You know,
It's like when Tate blew up. You just saw all these wannabe Tates, like just spewing all the red pill stuff.
Aviators, cigars, multiple women. You know, that was never you, bro. You know, you copied that. So I think that's what I would say if I was 18. Yeah.
How's the relationship situation with you? I know
I'm married.
So yeah, does anybody know that?
It's not such a public thing, but yes, I've been with my woman now for almost 3 years, and yeah,
How did you decide she's the one?
Is it really like a decision?
I'm gonna let this part play too, because that's like a really good segue from like building yourself up, picking a skill set, developing your business or whatever it is, and then also picking the right woman. I wasn't gonna let this part play, but I didn't know that he was married, so I think this is gonna be really good in combination with it.
Thing.
Well, it's a difficult one. I guess people say you just know.
Yeah, I think when we first started to hang out in the beginning, I felt good about it, and I knew that there was something there. Obviously, it wasn't like they make it out in the movies, like, oh, right when I met her, I knew she was the one. Yeah, it wasn't really like that. But when we started spending more and more time together, I started realizing that, hey, this is something that I want to continue. You know, sometimes I might have dated somebody in the past, and then you spend that time with them, and when they leave, you're like, okay, thank God they're out of here. But her, I wanted to keep seeing her over and over and over again. And that was the first time that I had felt that way in a long time. So, yeah.
You know what? In a way, it's like such a good thing because there's no distraction. You're not good.
I know it might seem obvious, but like the fact that he was like, oh, like I want her out of here, like for previous people, because we've all had that experience, you know, and it's because you might not realize it. It might be subconsciously, like either you know it, like I want her out of here, or you're glad that when she left, or there's some level of stress or anxiety that the relationship is creating that you need to address or walk away from, right? And it's important not to run from things all the time, like moving through your fear, right? But if it's actually like a girl or a situation that's not bringing you peace, that's a different thing, right? Because you want to be, you know, enjoying your relationship, excited about who you're with, not like glad I'm getting a break from them, right? Like of course, like there's one tiny aspect of it, like distance makes the heart grow fonder. Like it's best not to be around your partner 24/7, probably. Like even if you had like maybe you're both working remotely, own your own business, live in the same house, it would probably be better for you to have at least different offices in the house or something where like maybe one of you can go out during the day or both of you can go out to different places during the day. Sometimes go on adventures together, keep dating, right? But like I think that's one mistake a lot of guys make is like they don't create any space between the two. And it's not that like they don't like each other. It's just like if they're always attached at the hip, there's no room to miss each other, right? And I've seen that a lot with guys who them and their partner end up breaking up or they get divorced, things like that. Like they got in a situation like that where they were just, you know, around each other too much and they didn't have any space to breathe. Right? And it's not about like needing to get away, needing to date other people. It's not about that, right? It's just about actually doing your own thing, like a boundary around work, around the gym. You can see it when I compartmentalize it like that, right? Like doing that and then also having a boundary so you continue to date them. You're not just Netflix and chilling through your marriage, right? You're actually like still dating them, going on adventures together and, you know, developing the relationship because you both are gonna change. You're going to be different people than when you met, right? So I love what he's saying right here.
You're wasting your time going on dates, getting distracted by women, especially in places like Miami. Like that can really...
Or Dubai.
Take you away from your path and your purpose. And if you found someone who is going to be supportive, she's going to be there for you, and she's along for the ride, then, it's only going to push you to new heights.
Yeah, I think being a single man with money, you are riddled with the maximum level of temptations, more than anybody else.
I know, yeah.
But the challenge and the men that truly become successful are the ones that can resist those temptations, right? So if you're every single weekend seeking somebody new, if you're constantly dealing with the drama of somebody getting mad that they found out you was with somebody else, that shit takes away from your purpose and what you're trying to do. Now, a relationship and a marriage also has its own cons, but in the end, you're building something. So for me, I saw that as the path that I wanted to go on. And I say that all the men that I won't say all, but the majority of the men that I look up to in my life have one woman, or they're married and they're actually with that person and committed to that person.
And that is a really good point too, right? Again, like he talked about mentors and modeling and taking inspiration from people earlier. You can do the same thing with relationships, right? Like think about, are you getting advice from people on relationships and dating who are also single or very often single? Or are you getting advice from people who are in happy, healthy marriages? What do you yourself see yourself enjoying in the long term? What do you want in the long term? Do you always want to just be dating, have short term, not really worry about it? Or do you want to have like a family, kids, wife, like all that stuff, right? So think about that. Be honest with yourself and remove the ego from it. And I think a lot of guys would probably admit that they would prefer a fulfilling relationship, right? Because think about it even in context with business. You can have a girl who makes things harder, right? Like an anchor, she's making business, everything, you're not going to the gym as much, or she's being combative with you all the time, so there's no peace, there's stress, anxiety, right? You're not as healthy as you were before. Or there's a girl who's really fulfilling, supportive. Yeah, you might, disagree sometimes, but she's skyrocketing your business in these other areas. So this is such a key thing to get down. And that's actually why it's important to keep dating while you're building up. Not dating too much, not like serial dating, but dating while you're building up so you understand women and female nature more so you can actually find the right partner when you're ready.
So that was the path that I chose, and it feels good.
Yeah, I'm actively trying to find more of those men who are happily married and have a family, because that's ultimately what I want one day. And I don't want to be in a position where because there's so many guys that have got divorced, and then they have maybe a messy breakup, and then the kids get negatively affected by that, and that's not something I want.
It's scary. It's something that scares everybody that's in a relationship or a marriage, is the idea that one day this thing might not work. But would you not want to live because you knew you might die one day?
Yeah. Do you want to have kids one day?
Yeah, definitely. I think some of the saddest men that I've ever met in my life are men that are in their 50s that don't have children. Because it's you reach a certain point where then it's it was kind of, you missed the boat. If you do it now.
And what he's saying, right, is there is probably a level of fear that was inside those men that were between getting up to 50 plus and never had the marriage or never had the kids. It doesn't, they don't have to get married, right, for you to have an amazing long-term relationship. Let's make that very clear, right? Because if you can find a woman who just wants to have an amazing relationship with you, have kids, and doesn't need the marriage, that might be an alternate route, right? Who knows, right? There's all kinds of people out there, and something for everybody, I think. So truthfully, what he's saying is not allowing fear to control you, right? Are you not going to live because you're going to die one day? Are you not going to take a chance on getting into an amazing relationship because it might end one day? This is the whole importance of actually dating and knowing how to spot, you have glasses or x-ray glasses for women who are the wrong fit for you and the right fit for you long term, right? Spotting toxic things, red flags, etc. Because a lot of guys lack the interview skills for the candidates for a relationship, basically, or mother material.
Kids is kind of not going to really get to connect with you like that, and you're going to have to just find somebody last minute. It's it's best, I think, to do it. It's a scary thing, though. At 25 years old, it's not something that I'm ready to do right now, but it's something I definitely want to do one day. I think that's how you continue your legacy, and perhaps it's a bit selfish, but I think it's a way to do it.
Yeah. What are you currently doing to stay on top of your health and optimize your performance?
Yeah, man. I think very wise advice there. Definitely like this guy's content. I haven't watched a ton of it, but he's a very interesting guy. Like, build himself up. 25. I mean, like, still very young. He's been able to retire himself, try different business opportunities, do different things, and he's obviously getting a lot of knowledge very quickly. So definitely a guy to keep watching and look out for. Mike Thurston, this guy right here, he's got this First Things Thirst podcast. It's also a very good podcast, so he's got good guests on. I recommend checking both of them out. Good material to help you grow as a man. If you like the video, like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. You got this, bro.